I can buy my veggies and herbs in a supermarket. In fact, I can order them online and have them delivered to my door at my convenience. And since every minute of my day should be productive to the minimum level that is demanded by today's social standards, why on earth should I put my time and energy into growing my own vegetables? Well, that is a very good question, isn't it? So today we'll go over a few reasons why you could or even should start your own vegetable garden. First of all, it should be a hobby that is fun and enjoying for you to do. Now that is of course a little bit subjective, but if you don't like the feeling of having dirt under your fingernails, or that your clothes can get a little bit dirty, or that you generally don't have the patience for a crop to grow, then maybe gardening isn't really for you. But if you do have the slightest interest in putting a seed in the ground and watching it grow to a full crop, or being in nature in general, then gardening might actually be for you. It can be very relaxing and rewarding, and a little bit more on that later, but I can guarantee you the first time you pull a crop out of the ground that you've seeded yourself, it is such a rewarding feeling that I recommend it to everyone to at least try it. We live in a very fast world nowadays. We should be always on the go. We should be always productive. If we want something, we can have it within 24 hours. And I think we are losing the ability to be patient. A garden forces you almost to become patient. There is no instant gratification in gardening. You need to deal with crops that need time to grow. You also need to deal with setbacks when a crop gets eaten by critters or pests. And I think that's a good thing. I think we should learn to become more patient once again, because patience learns you to savor the moment and to look forward to that goal instead of, working your ass off to reach a goal, and then once you've reached it, there is almost no feeling of fulfillment because you're always looking to the next goal. We also live in a world that is bombarding us with input, and with that I mean computer screens and cell phones and social media. You're watching this on social media right now. We're always on, we're always available. I'm old enough to remember a time that there weren't any cell phones or computers, and life was just a lot more simpler back then. But I do believe that all that input nowadays can give a lot more stress, and a garden can detach you from that. It almost can give you like a singular purpose, and it can be almost like a meditation if you're working in the garden and thinking of nothing else. I know that there are army veterans with PTSS, even some famous YouTubers in fact, and they have picked up gardening because it sort of calms their minds down and brings them peace of mind. So I do think that gardening can help you relax and calm down in a world that is full of input nowadays. Another reason is to, of course, become more self-sufficient when it comes to food. Now, this is a very broad spectrum, of course. You can, for example, try to become more self-sufficient by growing a few herbs on your balcony if you have little space. Or you can try to grow as much food as possible and save some costs. Do know that it is possible to become 100% self-sufficient when it comes to food, but it's also a very big challenge. So my tip for any beginning gardener is to start off small. For example, try to grow a courgette plant or two, because that will give you a lot of harvest, and then build your garden up from there throughout the season, or maybe throughout the coming years. Another topic is, of course, health and nutritional value when you compare store-bought vegetables to homegrown vegetables. First of all, I often see the vegetables in the supermarket wrapped in plastic, and I often think like that can't be healthy for either the vegetable or us. We just came back a few weeks ago from Italy from a vacation, and our apartment was very close to the fields of a farmer, and in the 10 days that we were there, we've seen him spray those fields at least twice, maybe even 3 times with pesticides. And not a little bit, he was really hosing those bean plants. He even warned us that he was spraying with pesticide when we were having breakfast outside, and it was best for us to get back inside the house. So that puts internationally shipped vegetables in a different perspective, in my opinion. Speaking about transporting vegetables, a lot of them are of course imported into your country, so if you are worried about the carbon footprint, then that might actually be a reason to start your own vegetable garden as well, instead of buying them in the grocery store. I've also heard that there are studies that show that the nutrient density of our food, and especially our vegetables, has decreased significantly over the last few decades. And I'm talking about stuff such as copper or zinc or sodium. And if you build up a healthy soil over the years and you do not use any pesticide or over fertilize your soil, then that nutrient density will be a lot higher in your own food. Not only that, but often the flavor is a lot more concentrated in your own food. And the best examples of that are of course strawberries and tomatoes. And once you have tasted your own grown strawberries or tomatoes, you'll never want store-bought ones again, ever. Growing your own food is in a way detached from the monetary system. We all know that inflation has risen a lot these last few years, and that means that the time and energy you spend to provide a good or a service has been devalued. But the time and energy it takes to grow a crop is still the same as it was about 1,000 years ago, for example. Yes, of course, you have to buy some seeds and some compost, but generally speaking, gardening can be very cheap if you want it to be. Now, fruit and vegetables are not necessarily the most expensive thing in the grocery store, but it makes you aware of that principle. Now, I'm gonna sound really old by saying this, but I don't believe that kids these days know where their food comes from other than a supermarket. And I'm not really sure if they're learning it in school. So if you have kids yourself or in your family, then introduce them to the garden. Show them, take them along. Gardening can be an extremely fun activity for them, especially harvesting crops, and they will learn to appreciate the work that goes into it. Now, this is of course not a reason to start a vegetable garden, but it is a nice benefit if you already have one. And you will of course learn a lot when you start a garden. Once you dip your toe into the world of gardening and self-sufficiency, you'll not only learn about the garden and pests, but also about the seasons and how to preserve your harvest, for example. And I think those are very useful skills to have. But the best reason to start a garden? Follow me. There, that's dinner. And I have been doing this throughout the entire season. And I can't stress it enough, but getting your own harvest from the garden, it's really priceless. If you found any of these tips useful, then leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out. And if you're like, well, okay, you have piqued my interest in starting my own garden, but it's autumn and I can't really see myself growing anything at the end of the season, then I have a video for you with 4 reasons.
A video with 4 reasons why to start a vegetable garden in autumn. And you can watch that video right over here. Bye bye.